Hi everyone, and welcome back to Hit Your Numbers. Before we get into this week's episode, I just want to remind you that great salespeople never stop learning, and that is why we have introduced a 7-day free trial for our Learn and Develop memberships of the Sales University. So whether you're an SDR, an AE, a sales leader, there's still things you can learn. Today's buyers are changing, we all know that. So we've got loads of great courses, loads of great resources, loads of AI tools for you to use as well, all in the Sales University. You can get that all for 7 days for free. So go to therevenueenabler.com/Sales University and sign up today.
All right, I want to talk to you about discovery today. So I want to actually give you a couple of things that you can take away from this, some actionable tips and actually make your discovery calls better. Now, I spend a lot of time working with sales organizations. Part of the reinforcement I do with the sales leaders with their teams is call coaching, workshops, that kind of stuff, right? And I just see us make a big mistake in discovery. We just spend far too long talking about products, features, capabilities, and we never really get under the hood of why the hell they agreed to have a conversation with us. And ultimately, those deals are ones that stall out and never really go anywhere. They get really scrappy, right? So I'm going to give you kind of a couple of things you can do today. Now, the way I think about discovery is I break it into 3 buckets, okay? So bucket number 1 is the first 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes is me deeply understanding why the hell did they agree to meet with a salesperson. Okay, and I'm going to give you a couple of questions that you can use in a minute. So I want to understand what's the problem they're facing, what's causing that problem to exist. Those are going to be the things that I'm going to be selling to. And then have they been able to quantify the impact? These are going to be impacted metrics that is showing a sign of this problem existing. Okay. So for example, my problem is we're not breaking into enterprise accounts. And as a result, the impact is I'm not going to make my enterprise revenue number. And that's going to hurt cash flow, forecast, etc. Right? So the first 10 minutes, what's their problem? What's the root cause of their problem? What's the impact of it? Once I understand that, and with really intentional questions, I can do that in 10 minutes. Second 10 minutes is my time. That's my time to tell a really inspiring customer story. I can do that because I know their current state, I know where they are today, so I can actually align and map a relevant story. Then also talk about a couple of use cases and see how that kind of lands with them. And then the final 10 minutes is me framing next steps, giving people a way out, because we know that we're not going to win 100% of opportunities, right? So I'm going to give them a way out, see if they go for it. If I do a really good job and inspire them, that shouldn't happen too often, but I do want to push some people away because I know not everyone's going to be a buyer. And then because I'm a medic seller, the rest of that 10 minutes is me understanding decision criteria. Because I'm going to go into a demo next. It's amazing how many reps go into a demo. They don't even know the technical or economic or relationship criteria that businesses are using to qualify if you're a good fit and make that decision. So what ends up happening is, let's say you want to buy a house, you jump in the car with the estate agent, you're looking for a 2-bedroom flat, and they start driving around mansions, right? And basically what you're doing is you're saying, raise your hand when you see something interesting. And that is a really poor experience as a buyer to go through. So we need to understand the criteria they're going to use so that we can then leverage that in a demo and align the solution back to what they care about. So let me give you a way to open up those first 10 minutes. Okay, so it's a couple of notes here. So there's 3 buckets I want us to think about for the first 10 minutes. First is the icebreaker. Do not go into that call saying, hey, what's the weather like where you are? Whereabouts are you based? Right? Like that just sends a signal to our buyer straight away that we've probably done no research because everybody else runs like that, right? Be curious. If you're doing pre-call planning and you notice they've just opened up an office in Barcelona, say, hey, Sarah, I noticed that you guys have just opened up an office in Barcelona. It's probably my favorite city in Europe. Are you going to have much opportunity to get over there, or are you going to be fixed at the London location? They might, open up conversation, have a little bit of chit chat. It's not super relevant about what we're talking about in discovery, but it shows we've done some level of research. Okay. So open up with an interesting icebreaker. Let's send a signal that we've done some research. So that's the first mistake that I see reps make. Second, early in the call is no agenda. They don't even set an agenda at all. This is really bad practice. Or the ones that do, it's really loose and fluffy. And when they deliver their agenda, they never ask, Sarah, just so that you get maximum value from the conversation today, what would you love to get from this call today? And I'll make sure I add it to the agenda and make sure that we get through it. And they might want to understand an integration and how the pricing model works, right? But if we don't ask that question, then we're just sending a signal that don't really care about your agenda. I've got my own. So set a really good agenda. That might sound something like, hey, Sarah, just before we get into the call today, thought I'd just open up with a quick agenda. Feel free to add to it. So what I'd like to do today is learn a little bit about your business, understand X, Y, and Z, how you do this today. Then once I understand a little bit about how you operate, I'll then tell you about some of the solutions that we have that could be able to help. Then we'll talk about pricing and that kind of stuff, just so that you can leave today fully informed. And then we'll talk about next steps. Does that sound like a good plan for today? Yeah, it does. Great. And just before we get into it, anything you'd love to add to that? Yeah, I'd love to learn about integrations and pricing. Got it. I'll make sure we add that to the agenda right now. So good icebreaker, really good agenda. And then we want to use a discovery starter. So I kind of built out these discovery starters with a couple of my teams. There's 3, and we're going to get them into them all today. But the easiest and really effective one is using a curious-based opener. So I might say something like, just before we get into the call, and I would do this after my agenda, just before we get into the call today, I can't imagine it's every day you agree to a meet with a salesperson that sends you an outbound email or cold calls you and interrupts your day. Just for context, and so that we're aligned, maybe you could just give me a sense of what's happening in your business that made you want to meet with me today. And that is going to naturally open them up to talk about a problem that their business is facing. Now, sometimes they might open that call by saying something like, I'm looking for a solution for X. I'm looking for a sales trainer. And that's where reps get happy is, and we need to dial back and say, hey, no worries, get it. We can talk about that. Just so that we're aligned. What's happening in your business that makes you want to bring in a sales trainer in the first place? We want to go back to pain because we want to understand, is there a problem that's worth solving? What's causing that problem to exist, and what's the impact of it? So then I can talk about sales training and what sales training would be right, if any. Okay. So I just wanted to keep it short today. Think about it, 3 buckets. First, if it's a 30-minute call, first 10 minutes is about problems, root cause, impact. Second 10 minutes, telling stories, telling them how we solve the problem. Final 10 minutes is talking about next steps, offering them a way out, and then capturing that decision criteria, specifically technical, because we're going into a demo next. We need to understand, does it need to have this? Does it need to have that? Why does it need to have this? What order of priority? All of that kind of good stuff. But just think about it, those first 10 minutes, really good icebreaker, really good agenda, and just make it easy for people to give you a problem. You don't want to be finding out problems in like 18 minutes or 22 minutes into the call. We should be getting into problems really early so that we can then spend some good quality time giving this person some confidence that we can solve some of these problems. I hope this was helpful. If you want any more training or any more content like that, drop me a DM on LinkedIn.